Is it just me, or is YouTube imploding as of lately? Now, there was a time where YouTube was this giant open field where you could plant whatever gardens of content you wanted to blossom and grow so that other people could come and eateth of the fruiteth. And that's changing. Before, there'd be gardens for whatever political views you had, your religious views, whatever you were into, your hobbies, baking, cooking, vlogs, gaming, short animation, all kinds of things, skits. YouTube was this amazing thing. And YouTube was like, hey, come to us and we will give you shelter and we will give you a place to be yourself and to show the world what it is you want to show them. And that seems to be a dying thing, like dodo bird, like dying, like dinosaurs kind of dying, like it's going extinct. And the reason why I say this is because YouTube very clearly is sending YouTubers a message of what kind of content it wants on its website. Now, it wants to do this, I think, because YouTube wants to be the next television. That's really what it wants to do. YouTube doesn't exist because it cares about you as a YouTuber or me as a content provider / creator. It cares about money. That's the only thing that YouTube cares about, making more money. And so if there are things on their site that they feel are going to cause advertisers to back away and stop shoveling those advertising dollars into their website, they're going to find ways to get that stuff off of their website. Now, first, let's talk about restricted mode really quickly. Restricted mode is something that if you're a YouTuber, you're familiar with it, at least you should be. It's nothing new. Restricted mode is the ability for a parent or anyone, but I think it's generally aimed towards parents, to go into their YouTube account, click the restricted button at the bottom of the screen. That way, when their children watch YouTube, they're not seeing things that they shouldn't watch. And in general, I think that that's a good idea. I don't want my kids watching things that they probably shouldn't be watching that are not age appropriate. I get that. However, the main problem is that YouTube Kids exists for that. If you don't want your kids watching stuff on YouTube that you feel they shouldn't be watching, then don't let them watch YouTube. Make sure they watch YouTube Kids. What the restrictive mode does, for the most part, at least in the area of parents trying to control what their children are watching, is it wrecks it for the rest of us content creators, because there might be 1 or 2 videos that come up as okay and the rest come up as restricted, even though most of the content in the videos is actually okay. Now, if your kids watch YouTube through your YouTube account, because children aren't really supposed to have a YouTube account until I believe it's 13, then that means the adults aren't getting the content which was intended for a slightly more mature audience either, because they're trying to keep their kids from having it. So my advice would be, if you don't want your kids to see stuff that you would be okay with watching, put your kids on YouTube Kids. It's highly monitored, and that way the people who are regular, not G family-rated content creators can continue to produce the content that the adults and the older people will like, and the kids can then watch their content that's made for children. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is something that I've talked about before, but I want to mention it briefly, and that's all the advertisers who jumped ship to the tune of $750 million. That's a lot of money taken out of YouTube. That's a lot of ads no longer running, and that's a lot of panic from the people on top going, whoa, we're not making the same amount of money anymore. We gotta change things up. Thanks, PewDiePie, for declaring war with the Wall Street Journal. Old media hates new media, and you just had to fucking dig your finger in there and piss off old media just a little bit more, so they went and did their digging and found ways to incriminate most of YouTube and caused YouTube to have to rethink everything because all the advertisers pulled out because of like 0.0001% of its content might actually be racist or from ISIS or something like that. You couldn't have just said, you're right, that video, I can see how you might think it's distasteful and racist, and I'm really sorry about that, and I don't usually take a video down, but in this case, I think I'll make an exception and just take it down. You had to look right at the Wall Street Journal and go, try harder, motherfuckers. You dick. Now, I want to make this perfectly clear. This has everything to do with PewDiePie, and that is where all of this originates. Yes, YouTube probably wanted to get channels like Filthy Frank and the other ones that would be less advertiser friendly off of their platform, but the reality is, what started this, the fire under the ass, was the war between PewDiePie and the Wall Street Journal. Now, because of the ad boycott, a lot of the people that you and I would watch on YouTube on a regular basis, we love their channel, we get their humor, we're okay with it, they're going to go bye-bye because they're not quite as advertiser friendly. They're trying to get Patreon accounts going, and they're asking their subscribers for money, and they're trying to get their merchandise up and running. I'm just looking at that going, for most YouTubers, that is not a sustainable way to make a living off of YouTube. Most YouTubers don't have enough subscribers to sell t-shirts or have a Patreon account where they make any kind of good money. I know YouTubers that are smaller YouTubers, and they make $1 to $2 a month off their Patreon account. You need to have a lot of subscribers already, like right now, as this is happening, to even be able to make a living off of YouTube, aside from the ad revenue. But aside from that, it's clear at this point that YouTube is blacklisting channels and whitelisting channels. I did a little bit of research, and I went to some of the larger YouTube channels that I know of and or / I watch on a regular basis, and some of them had no ads at all in play in front of any of their videos. Some had 1 or 2, while other channels, every single video had an ad. And the channel that I watched that had an ad in front of every single video was the Daily Bumps. That's what people want to see. They want to see sunshine and roses and people smiling. And they love that TLC style intro because it's a lot like a TV show. It's G-rated, it's family friendly, and it's something that is sunshine and rainbows. There's no controversy there. It's something that is so homogenized that grown-ups and children can watch alike. Well, what if I don't want to make content just for little kids? What if I want to aim my content at a slightly more mature audience? Like probably 3/4 of the channels on YouTube right now. They don't want to be G-rated channels, but YouTube is basically forcing its content providers who, let's face it, they're the ones that made YouTube. Content providers. Without the content, YouTube has nothing. It's basically forcing its content providers to change the way that it does things. Otherwise, they're going to make no money. Now, I know right about now some people are saying, well, you should be doing YouTube because you love YouTube. And that's ridiculous. If you want to continue seeing highly produced videos on YouTube, then the people who are making those highly produced videos, putting in all that time, are going to want some kind of financial compensation for it. To expect them to do it for free is ridiculous. My last thought about YouTube lately, and I'll keep it brief. If you've been watching anything to do with YouTube, you know who Daddy05 is by now. Everyone knows who Daddy05 is by now. People who aren't on YouTube know who Daddy05 is by now. Now, Daddy05 has been coming under a lot of scrutiny as of late, and rightly so, because the basis of their channel is pretty much, let's piss off Cody and or one or more of the other children, have an extreme reaction, and then film it. Quite often, the person who is upsetting, riling up, pissing off the children is the dad. It's Michael from Daddy05. Sometimes it's the wife, Heather, but usually it's the dad or the older brother. And the stuff that we've seen there, we've seen Cody getting body slammed, we've seen Cody going face first into a bookshelf, we've seen Cody getting stuff of his smashed, we've seen him getting yanked off chairs, we've seen Cody getting hit, we've seen extreme reactions by Cody and most of the other children involving a lot of yelling, a lot of red faces, and a lot of crying. And to do all and any of those things to your children for the purpose of YouTube views and gaining more subscribers and making more money, it's not worth it. There's nothing that you could pay me that would make me okay with abusing my child. Yeah, YouTube has been a crazy place as of late, and I haven't made a video talking about all of it, and I haven't really touched on all of these topics that much. It's just been like a mentioning of them. But YouTube is going nuts, and the thing I want you to take away from this video is YouTube is changing. Whether you or I like it, YouTube is changing. It's becoming something else, and we're either going to have to move and roll with it, or we're going to be left behind. And I think whether we like it or not, some channels are just going to be left behind as YouTube's direction changes, because their direction is based on what is going to keep the advertisers happy. And don't fool yourself into thinking that they care more about us, or even equally about us, as they do about their advertisers. Anyway, that's my time for today. Thank you for sticking around while I recorded this with the GoPro. I just felt like doing something a little bit different. I appreciate all of your support. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like this video, please slap the like on it, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you next time with the next video. Toodaloo!